Good afternoon. Today's press conference is to address a concerning music video that has recently been circulated on social media. Without further ado, Commissioner of Police Stephen Corbishley.
Good afternoon. As stated, we became aware yesterday around a music video that was being circulated on social media, which contained extreme lyrics of violence and threats against police officers and other members of the criminal justice system. The music video is often termed as what's called drill music, and drill is a slang term for automatic weapons. And it's often associated with gang-related violence, where gangs use the media to call out and diss other gangs, and often it leads to violence. So we take the matter extremely seriously, both in regards to the content of the lyrics, but also perhaps the indication of trying to promote gang violence or violence to any other party. We've been able to identify quite quickly one member on the video who is currently in custody with the Bermuda Police Service answering questions, and we are seeking advice from the Director of Public Prosecutions as to any charges in relation to offences committed. And we also are obviously seeking out other parties involved, including those that were involved in its production. I mean, the BPS welcomes people that want to get engaged in sort of community activity, and often music is a good way of bringing people together and also expressing views. But this type of music is extremely violent. It's not something we tolerate, and of course it advocates the use of violence and other aspects of gang-related criminality. So we are taking strong action against it. And if further such videos do emerge, we'll take a similar approach as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Corbishley. Was in the music video, was any member of police or the justice system named specifically?
No, not that I recall. I've watched it a few times. And there's obviously different slang words used in it and different aspects of sort of patois type tone. So of course it's important that we get down to identify if any one person, but on first listening there wasn't anything specific. It was just groups, obviously including the Bermuda Police Service and other parties in the Criminal Justice Service as well.
And is the police expecting or looking out for a possible response to this video from possibly anybody else?
No, I don't think so. Hopefully this is in isolation. It's the first that I've become aware, and of course social media is very prevalent that it will share these kind of things very, very quickly. I'm not unfamiliar to it, particularly working in the UK, and some of the issues that the Metropolitan Police in London have seen with the emergence of drill music and also its connection to gang-related violence. And the approach to that, whilst it's important to obviously deal with it from a law enforcement perspective, what we really do need to do is we concentrate on the way we work with gangs through community outreach, both from the police, our parish constables, but also alongside the Minister for National Security's team, Pastor Bean and others that do work each and every day in the community to engage with gang members and steer them away from violence. And the point I've just made, music is a good way to get involved and do something different, but this type of music is something that we don't condone, and obviously we take very seriously and will take action against.
Thank you.
For those that don't understand the illegality of doing something like this, just explain to the general public why it shouldn't be done.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of research around drill music. Originated in Chicago. Drill, as I say, is a slang term for automatic weapons, and quite often it's indicative, particularly through the lyrics, of challenging other gangs, people from postcodes, as a prerequisite to violence, and also it makes direct reference to the use of or access to weapons, which also is another concern. But words in particular context can cross into being criminal behaviour. So actually threatening to kill somebody, threatening to cause harm to somebody, something, as I say, we're speaking with the DPP's office, and the lyrics are clearly offensive, but we now need to look at whether or not that offensiveness crosses over into criminal behaviour, and if that's the case, then obviously there may be matters that we need to address.
When amidst the summer, what is your intelligence telling you about how the state of the island when it comes to threats of violence?
Well, I'm touch wood, okay, very positive. Yeah, we have not seen a homicide this year in Bermuda, and the work that we do each and every day with gangs, both from a law enforcement perspective, but as said before, around the partnership or preventative side, it is working. And quite often I describe policing as like an iceberg. What the public see, so the uniform officers on the streets, is only a very small part of what we do. We do a considerable amount of work covertly, using different skills that we have and different opportunities to essentially keep one step ahead of people who choose to behave in this way. And we've actually intervened and prevented many cases that tragically could have resulted in loss of life. But we've also steered people away from perhaps criminal behaviour to other partners that are better able to support them. So my position is the BPS is aware of what's going on, is responding to what's going on, and at this stage the results are itself explanatory. So we haven't lost people's lives, we haven't seen serious injury, and we will continue to achieve and prevent that position each and every day.
Just because we're in the season, how's the outreach to community clubs been as far as containing violence?
Well, it's good, and obviously it's multifaceted as an issue. So the work that we do, particularly around licensing, and the work we do with sports clubs, and there's some really great and credible people running these clubs, but we support them in regards to their levels of security, the way in which they manage the patrons who attend, the way in which we can reduce issues around violence. So, for instance, we had matters at St George's Cricket Club last week, where I think the patrons there, by and large for the day, behaved very orderly, but there was a small pocket that happened later in the evening that caused disorder. So we need to understand why, we need to work with the owners, and we need to put things in place. And of course, that's the way in which you manage business. You manage business on a partnership level, and we have individuals that choose to be in gangs that perhaps come into contact with other members, whether there be liquor or late night or the certain circumstances that can cause tension. So we need to understand that how that tension occurs and put things in place to prevent it.
Two more questions. One, does this music video seem to be in? Do the police suspect that this music video was possibly in response to something previous?
No, I don't pick up on that at all. I mean, obviously we have an intelligence unit that monitors things, whether or not this was prompted. It's the first type of this kind of music that I've seen on the island. And if you actually listen to the lyrics, it's pretty much in isolation. It's criticising the police and obviously making threats of violence against the police service. And obviously it's got footage of police officers contained in the video. So I don't immediately see it being related to any other situation other than it being produced. And obviously our response hopefully will give a message to people who may choose to do it in the future.
And does the police service fear or suspect that this could possibly pose a risk to or indicate to a risk of public safety?
No. I think it's not something that should be tolerated in a society that values communities and values families and values consideration and respect for all. It's not part of Bermuda, so that's one reason why we should respond. But I don't accept that it's indicative of some simmering problem that we're not either aware of or able to control.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions, gentlemen? Thank you very much.